that leads you to happiness versus failure. Now we know for the first time, we didn't know that before, it's a relatively new science, that what the mother does, baby will acquire some of these diseases, both physical and mental. The point I'm trying to make by giving you this story, which is not directly relevant to today's topic, is to show you that this begins from day one when you conceive. And this is a process that continues after you're born. When you were an embryo inside and the baby was growing, the only contact baby had with the external environment was through the mother. There is a little cord that has 2 arteries and 1 vein in it that is come out of the mother's placenta, which is stuck to the wall of the uterus and then go and lodge into the baby's belly button. The only contact with the external environment that the baby has is indirectly through the mother, and that is even more specific. The blood of the mother goes into the placenta, and the placenta does not allow the blood to actually go, but only allow the nutrients and the oxygen to diffuse through. And what's going to diffuse through is going to determine a lot. Is it your smoke that's going to diffuse through? Some molecules are going to diffuse through, others are not, depending on their size. And you don't really have much control over that. The bottom line is the external environment of the mother taken into her body, passed on to the baby, is going to influence the baby. Now the baby is finally born. You cut the cord, and the baby is now directly in touch with the external environment. Whether it's going to be social or emotional, or cuddling with the baby, the nutrition the baby gets, everything is part of it. When I say environment, it's all environment without exception. Nothing is left out. There is nothing, whether it's social or economic, or you have mental issues, or what your belief systems are, is your environment. If some of you believe that, it's within the next 20 years that Jesus Christ is going to come and lift those from the earth up into the heaven, those who believe in him, and it's only 20 years from now, if you truly believe in it, that is your environment. It impacts what goes on in there. Some of you might think, but what if that is not true? What if it doesn't happen in 20 years or never happens? How can that impact you? I have news for you. If you truly believe in it, somehow it impacts you. Genes are very stupid, actually. They respond to every belief. They respond to every thought. They respond to every behavior. They respond to everything that you put in your mouth. They also respond to what remains in the gut and doesn't come out and doesn't belong there. They respond to everything. Folks, this is called epigenetics. Scientists were always hesitant. They always deal with the physical world, that nutrition and diet affects your genes, and turn on genes and turn off genes and switch them on and turn them off. They are lights that come in and out. I'm talking about the 27,000 genes which haven't made up their mind what to do. They're waiting on you to give them the command. The materials around the genetic code, what it does will determine what happens. There are various processes in biochemistry where the methyl group goes there attached to the phosphate or something. It will express in a different fashion. Instead of making this protein, it will start making that protein, but it's up to you to tell the gene what to do. The only exception is those 2% genes. You can't tell them. You cannot decide that you're going to be a blonde because your mother was a blonde, your father was a blonde. There is a pretty good chance. Not a guarantee, but the chances are you are going to be blonde in hair color. And probably your eyes will be lighter in color. That you do not have control over. But that's only 2%. So now the baby is out in the environment. And I will show you that what you do with your body from the time you are born. Of course, when a baby is dependent on you. But once you become an adult, you don't have an excuse, right? You can screw up that baby as much as you want, but once you are an adult, nobody is taking care of you. You are taking care of yourself. Therefore, now you have a second chance to be reborn again and do the things you can do to change your life. And I will show you, and I always do in all my seminars, how you can actually change everything, and it's not too late. Again, that's not my opinion. Anybody challenge me on this? I am willing to provide you scientific literature. It's not literature by Dr. Smith and John, who does research in the backyard and then makes a supplement and sells and makes billions of dollars. I'm talking about science done by people who have no vested interest. That's all they do. I'm talking about science which is duplicated, which has been verified. That is what science is. Science is a process. And this is one of the things you are going to learn today. I'm going to use as a basis when we talk about nutrition tons of research done only by a whole bunch of scientists and researchers at Mayo Clinic. And why use Mayo Clinic? Why not someone else? It really doesn't matter who I use. What really matters is we are going to use science which is done properly. What is properly? What is proper science? I want you to know the greatest contribution of the Western world to this planet is not the Holy Quran or the Bible, and sorry, no offense to those who think that's the best thing ever happened. It is in the last 400 years understanding how to discover truth, how to separate the wheat from the chaff, how to figure out what is a hype, what is true, what is untrue, what people believe. If they believe, there's a way to test it. This is called scientific method, and the scientific method also believes that even if you did research properly, and proper research in medicine means randomize a very large group and double-blinded study. That has become the standard. That's how you tell if something works or it doesn't work. The other beauty of science or scientific method is once you have done the research and come to some conclusion, it is still not accepted as the truth. Yet. Not yet. Because it is a requirement, it's mandatory that someone else who is a neutral party, someone who has no vested interest, someone who's located elsewhere in the world, do their own experiment and trial and have come to the same findings, the same conclusion. It is still not satisfactory. It needs to be verified and duplicated several times before we say this is the truth and this thing was a hype. Now, you know, if you walk into a health food store, it's overwhelming. It's not thousands of stuff over there. There are tens of thousands of supplements and foods and everything, including health food stores. It's not tens of thousands. Actually, it seems to me there are hundreds of thousands of things. You walk into a place like, what's that in Bakersfield? Lasson's. People go there, they fill up their buckets with things because they believe they work. Let me ask you a question. Let me throw the ball in your court. How many of you take things or consume certain foods or take certain supplements or herbs because you were told they are good, or you read somewhere, I don't care, you did your own research, and you take them, and in your heart of hearts you are not really sure if it works or not? Raise your hand, be honest. Yeah, you know, a couple of people hesitate, but most of them raise their hands, because that's the truth. More than 95% of the people are not sure, and the others who are sure, there is not a guarantee that their belief that they have come to acquire is necessarily true. Maybe either they have done more research, they know for sure, or they just believe it. Can't change their mind and can't argue with them. Today's seminar is going to be about what you put in your mouth. The next seminar on December 18 is going to be what you put in your head. That's mind-body medicine. And there will be other seminars coming, what you put in your spirit. But today we're going to restrict our discussion to what goes in your mouth and what comes out, actually. Just think about it. We have three sides to it. In each seminar, I remind you, you have body, you have mind, and spirit. If you ignore one of the three things, you are going to be that three-legged stool which is kind of wobbly, but you will do okay. But if you ignore two out of the three, you fall flat on your face. What do I like to express? You are up the creek in Colorado without a paddle. You are in trouble if you ignore two out of the three. Now, what is the most important things the body does? Take the mind out of the equation, take the spirit out of the equation, take all the things that are directly or indirectly related to what your mind or spirit does. Focus just on the body today. What is the most important thing your body does? Anybody has an idea? 24/7? Yes. And you might say, how about sex, and how about this, and how about activity? Well, guess what? If you don't put energy in your mouth, there will be no exercise, there will be no sex. After a while, you will be done. There will be no going to the gym, there will be no activity, you will not take your car and drive it up to listen to the seminar today. So what is the very foundation? Is consumption of energy, so that you live as an organism for whatever 70, 80, 90 years. You have to continue to do that. Sorry, you don't have a choice. That is the most important thing you do, because everything else depends on it. A person, they say, who doesn't have food on his or her table has no spirituality. Everything else is meaningless. Is that correct? Most people look for, I can guarantee you, every single one of you is a victim of one out of the three things. You want either money, or you want sex, or you want fame. Every single one of us is a victim to one out of the three. Some of us, two out of the three. And some of us are greedy, we want everything. I don't mean to keep on going off the tangent, because the seminar is about nutrition. Some of you can't wait for me to get started. But let me ask you this. If you did not get the essential message, then what's the